Right. So, in the last session, we discussed about the ServiceNow application in context to creation of tasks, all that stuff. At the same time, even task creation, workflows, all these things were discussed. Wherein today I'm going to discuss about the query builder part because whenever we are working on the ServiceNow platform in context to the role of a business analyst or an administrator role, it's always important for us to create multiple queries. What are the different queries which are essentially required? So the query creation is required. So queries and all everything will be used to address whatever the issues are we going to be performed in coming days. So in regard to that, so it's always important for us to create new queries, all that thing. So here we have to go for a query builder because you can see over here, we can see there are options whatever required. So in this, whenever we are working on the configuration point of view, because whenever we are working on the configuration part, so in reference to the configuration, whatever we have taken here, because even we have service portal, etc. So, but when we have taken any configuration, hence it's always important for us to create some query builders. So in this configuration, what are the query builders we have selected over here? Because when we are maintaining application development, right? So creating some different properties or something of that sort. Okay. So in this regard, so there we can see the query builder where we have to create queries here. So we need to create a query for two different types. One is either is it something relating to CMDB query we are creating or service mapping query. So I'm selecting the second one. Service mapping query is what something I'm creating. Okay, service request. Okay, this is what something which right. So service request is what something which has a name I'm creating. Okay, this is a service name request we have created. So whenever these are all, do remember, these are all part of configuration we do as a business analyst or an administrator. Whenever we are configuring the ServiceNow application, this is something required. Okay, that's the reason why here we have created a service. For service request is a query we have created. So when we have created a service request, here we need to write down the description first. Uh, Raising a request based on the list of services what are to be addressed. Okay, what are to be right. So this is what generally they have created, right? So when it comes to the property part, I'm talking about, right? So we need to update the service request properties. So description we have to maintain. Next, further, generally we have taken service mapping query is what something we need to name. Now, if you want to add any kind of columns to the existing one, here you can add the columns, whatever the required columns to be maintained, everything can be maintained here. Now, when it comes to the creation of service mapping queries or something where we need to be updated the applied filters, whatever the required applied filters to be updated, or else whatever the required columns which are to be maintained, right? So assigned to or something, right? So all these things we have to be updated in this. So once we have updated here, wherein we need to update the information in regard to the application development, whatever the required services we want to be updated, or else if you want to create any service mapping queries, whatever the queries we have updated, all these things has to be mentioned. So once we have mentioned here, one after service mapping query, wherein we are going for CMDB query builder, where we whatever the query classes you want to be updated. Okay, for example, if you want to update, let's say that we want to update relating to the database related stuff. For example, some any kind of database related stuff which you want to see. Okay, what are the required database informations you want to see? Or else if there is any kind of classes we are updating over here, right? Or else if you want to maintain any kind of application filters, right? So what are the application filter here? Okay, so once we have created here, we need to create an application builder. So we need to update what are the required application you want to be maintained. So here we need to update it, right? So here we have added two columns here, you can see. So this is where generally the starting node will be. So starting node will be this. This is what generally the starting node we have. So wherein we have added the aside to. At the same time, we have added the business units as well. So when we are maintaining this, this is what something which we need to be updated. So yeah, right. So this is where generally application cluster starting node we have created. So we have created the business unit because whenever there are application clusters we need to maintain. So we need to create some batch jobs also because this is also needed. Means if you want to add any kind of to the add any kind of columns to the batch job and all that. So wherein that also can be right. So for example, uh, batch job and all where we need to implement the business need. Okay. So here being a business analyst or an admin related stuff where we need to be updated any kind of business need or something. So where these columns can be updated for this. So this is how when we are creating any kind of queries, it is always important for us to update what are the required application clusters which are to be maintained. At the same time, what are to be batch jobs to be created. So these are all the will be the part of configuration when we are creating a query which is for service request. So once we have created here, you can see there is an option called save. So if you are saving automatically here, we can see successfully saved service request is what something. So this is how generally the query creations we have to create in the query builder. And this is in context to the query of service mapping where we have created service request here. Followed by this, what are the required application clusters and batch jobs we need to create? Everything was created here. So this is all about this. And in the next session, I am going to discuss about the creation of schedules or it can be any kind of batch processings. These part I'm going to discuss in tomorrow's session. Okay.